Plan de l'UE pour l'élargissement, renforcer la démocratie et les réformes.
These integration steps take place in exchange for reforms in the relevant policy areas, but they should be reserved for those who at the same time uphold the rule of law, fundamental rights and democracy, while also working on the alignment with the common foreign and security policy. May I add here, and this goes beyond the scope of the enlargement reports, that we should also apply the same logic of integrating our future members early to the activities the Commission is planning now. So a new momentum of the gradual integration is a cooperation on the field of the following documents. And all of them have to do with how to safeguard our democracy. In the next week, the College will adopt the European Commission, the so-called Democracy Shield. How can we preserve our democracy? And we will include the candidates into this. One part of this will also be, for the first time ever, the European Commission will adopt the civil society organization strategy. How, with the help of civil society, we could protect democracy, and what our President has been announcing, media resilience plan. Resilient media being important part of every democratic system, and of course especially in fighting disinformation and manipulation of information. Honourable members, enlargement can only be successful if it will make our union stronger. To achieve that, we need more progress on two main pillars. First pillar is that future member states must prepare for the responsibility of member states completely. And second, we must prepare our union for a larger EU. This goes hand in hand. Given the pace of some candidate countries, successful enlargement, and this is really my day today, is a realistic possibility within the coming years. Our candidates have ambitious goals. Montenegro wants to finish negotiations at the end of 26, Albania at the end of 27, Moldova and Ukraine in 2028. For me, ambitions are more important than years or dates, and the Commission is supporting those ambitions. For this year, I can say that these four candidates have matched their ambitions with concrete actions. So what happened? Montenegro is the most advanced and has made significant progress towards EU accession, and it is at the same time the most prepared country. The country produced tangible results on required reforms while remaining firm on its EU strategic orientation. Since the last report, 2 intergovernmental conferences have taken place, closing provisionally 4 new chapters, and more, up to 5 or 6, are still expected to be closed this year. Albania has made unprecedented progress since the first intergovernmental conference in October 24. 4 more clusters were opened over the year, and the remaining cluster is still to be open in November. This outstanding result is a clear recognition of the firm political commitment of Albania and the clear EU aspirations of its society. 91% of citizens are supporting EU membership. Albania continued to make progress in reforms under the fundamentals cluster and is preparing to deliver the interim benchmarks for it by the end of the year. Moldova has progressed on its accession path with accelerated speed and significantly deepened its cooperation with the EU despite the continuous hybrid threats and attempts to destabilize the country and its EU course. And it is the country which made the most progress in just 1 year. Amid the challenges caused by Russia's war of aggression, Ukraine has demonstrated its commitments to its EU path, moving forward on key reforms. Steps already taken are laying the foundations for recovery and opening space for greater private sector involvement. It will be essential to sustain this momentum and prevent any risk of backsliding, in particular anti-corruption. The screening process with Moldova and Ukraine was completed, and the Commission will continue its work to put the Council in the position to be able to open all the clusters by November. And I really hope that this will happen, because we always say that this is a merit-based principle. So when we say that if the member states are delivering, and I can really prove, or I have proofs with this report that they are delivering, then EU should deliver too.
Bravo.
In Serbia, the authorities continue to declare EU membership as their strategic goal, but the actual pace of implementation of reforms has slowed down significantly. While some recent positive developments are noted, Serbia needs to deliver on credible reforms across the board, most importantly in the area of fundamentals. We also need to see further progressive and stronger alignment with the common foreign and security policy, CFSP. For all the candidates, 4 countries of the Western Balkans are fulfilling CFSP with 100%. Kosovo we are not measuring. Then we have Ukraine with 99, we have Moldova with 98, and Serbia with 62. It also needs, Serbia, more proactive and objective communication on its EU accession process, and must avoid anti-EU rhetoric, also against the members of the European Parliament. Serbia is expected to overcome the standstill in the area of judiciary and fundamental rights, and urgently reverse the backsliding on freedom of expression, on freedom of academia, as well as ensure progress on the electoral framework. This also is something what the citizens of Serbia are requesting. Bosnia and Herzegovina faced political tensions with the end of the ruling coalition and a stalemate in reforms. However, in September 25, Bosnia and Herzegovina submitted its reform agenda to the Commission for Agreement. Following the recent institutional changes in the Republika Srpska entity, the country has now an opportunity to progress on its EU path with, in the first place, the adoption of judicial reform laws and appointment of chief negotiator. Then we could start soon. North Macedonia, as I have said, kept full alignment with the CFSP, and the technical work on the roadmaps and the action plan linked to Cluster 1 continued, but the country has not taken decisive steps to advance in the accession negotiations process over the last year. It has to amend the constitution according to the Council conclusions from 2022 to advance on its EU path. Kosovo remained committed to its European path, but progress was stalled by domestic politics, notably elections and protracted political deadlock afterwards. Turkey is a candidate country and a key partner sharing the same strategic interest in the Eastern Mediterranean, as well as in the Black Sea region, where we work together on cross-regional connectivity agenda. At the same time, the continued deterioration of democratic standards, the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, and respect for fundamental rights remains a matter of considerable concern. Accession negotiations have remained at a standstill since 2018. In Georgia, the situation has sharply deteriorated, with serious democratic backsliding, as never before in one of the candidate countries. We saw a rapid erosion of the rule of law and severe restrictions of fundamental rights. Georgian authorities need to urgently reverse their course to respond to their citizens' demand for a European future. Following the last year's European Council conclusions that the Georgian government's actions have de facto led to a halt of the pre-accession process, and in light of Georgia's continued backsliding on the fundamentals since then, the Commission considers Georgia a candidate country in name only. The coming year will be a moment of truth for all candidate countries, but especially those that presented ambitious plans to complete negotiations. High ambitions come with high expectations on reforms. They need to step up, generally, efforts to deliver lasting reforms, so it is not just ticking the box, that will enable a permanent transformation of their economies and societies to fully adjust to democratic standards and values. And this needs to be underpinned by compliance with the rule of law and fundamental rights and clear adherence to the EU's geopolitical orientation. At the same time, the EU is already taking steps to get ready for new members. And this is the second pillar of our work to make our union stronger. The Commission is working on the pre-enlargement policy reviews and reforms which assess the impact of enlargement on key policy areas. And if Montenegro maintains the pace of progress in preparations for EU membership, we will present a draft financial package for it. So enlargement for real. Communication efforts in both member states and enlargement countries are being stepped up to discuss benefits and challenges of enlargement with citizens. This is something, dear members of the European Parliament, I'm really asking you that we do this together. We can't enlarge without the approval of the citizens of the European Union, and this is the project not only by the European Commission, but all of us. I will be very happy if we could cooperate in this. This communication will not be enough. We need to ensure that positive dynamics on the rule of law, democracy and fundamental rights are maintained also after accession. That's why, and this is also put in the Commission considers that future accession treaties will need to contain stronger safeguards while keeping the fundamental principle of equality. What kind of safeguards? This will be a discussion once we will publish the results of the pre-enlargement policy reviews and reforms, and we have to include all of you and all the member states. This is to avoid any backsliding on commitments, I'm speaking with the new member states, taking during the accession negotiations. Future enlargements can only be successful if we ensure that the highest quality of reforms and put safeguards in place that reassure our citizens that the integrity of our union and democratic values are ensured. Each previous enlargement has made our union stronger, and this success relies on readiness. So let us not shy away from having the necessary discussions on how we can make sure a larger union will be the stronger union we need. And I hope I can continue to count on the support of the European Parliament and on all of you, and that we continue our very dynamic cooperation.